The clones were one of the most powerful and strongest fighting forces that the galaxy had ever seen. Not only were they really well equipped, they were also well trained. Their training even went down so deep to the point of their genetics. As we all know, they were made underneath the genetic template of Jango Fett, whose high IQ and fighting capability was so high that it even rivaled those who are Force users. In fact, at one point in Jango's life, he was able to dispatch of many Jedi just using his bare hands. Jango's knowledge and battle prowess was a perfect genetic template for the clone army. Now, there are many reasons why the Empire stopped using clones. They knew that they would have to use them for a transition period, but that's about it. Now, one of the main reasons the Empire stopped using the clones is simple. It's credits. The currency to run a clone was extremely expensive. The Empire needed the credits in order to build Star Destroyers and, most importantly, fund the Death Star. Even more importantly than that, to have more than one Death Star in the sky, it would cost a lot of credits. Even the clones' armor was top notch. It was some of the best armor that the galaxy had ever seen. But you have to think about it this way too as well. Not only does it cost money to make them itself, just to clone them, but now you have to feed them, train them, and also give them the best equipment in the entire galaxy. Keep them well equipped so they can keep the war effort going on. The Republic was spending billions of credits just for a few clone battalions. That's why they kept making them in batches, almost in waves. But as the war raged on, so did the demand for clones, and also the genetic template that they used for Jango Fett was starting to run thin. And that is the second issue as to why the Empire didn't issue any more clones. The genetic template that they used was completely ran out. So not only with the clones that came out later on, especially during the Empire's reign, they would have a lot less genetic capability to be able to fight as well as the clones that came prior. This would make clones a complete and total liability on a battlefield. If each clone wasn't acting on the same wavelength and didn't have the same thoughts, then they wouldn't be able to act accordingly. Also, just to have them comply to Order 66 and completely comply to the Empire, they would have to have inhibitor chips installed within their brains, and they have to be activated. That costs a lot of money itself as well. Also, each clone had way too much individuality. Each clone could think for itself. This is why you saw many variations of armor within the clone army. You would also see them attach things to their armor, maybe even carve out something and have kind of memorabilia on themselves. Some clones, such as Captain Rex, would also dye their hair blonde to completely stand out from every other clone. Although they were all still brothers at the end of the day, the Empire didn't necessarily want that. The Empire wanted robots essentially, but just human. The Empire saw the clones' individuality and able to process and think for themselves. They saw it as a liability, because what if they started thinking against the Empire, as they did, as many clones disobeyed Order 66, or would outright talk against the Empire later on, well after Order 66 and as it was going on. So this is why the Empire switched to Stormtroopers so quickly and started inscripting random people on random planets to be loyal to the Empire. But being a Stormtrooper is actually a very good career to have, and this is why many humans wanted to enlist inside the Empire's army. And also, a lot of the early Stormtroopers were actually very strong in their own right and had some of the most elite training, because they were serving directly underneath clones and would also be trained by clones. But as the Empire began to phase out clones constantly, they would actually drop in performance, in which gave us the Stormtroopers that we know today. Although Stormtroopers are elite in their own right, as I mentioned in my last video, Stormtroopers would still be easily outmaneuvered by a battalion of clones. Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it easier, but you get what I'm saying. The Stormtroopers would put up a fight, but the clone troopers, I would believe, would still win. And that's just due to their training and their overall combat practice and what they understand due to the battlefield and what they fought in. But anyway, that's all I got for today's video. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. May the Force be with you guys, and as always, have a great rest of your day.